Hi guys, just in my usual spot where I make most of my videos, and I'm here to do another one on my paranormal encounters. I'd like to do a series of videos on them like I said I would. I think I'm going to try and do a video on each one that I can recall. Before I do that though, I want to briefly comment on Tina's video. The recent one on the doppelganger video. That was bizarre. Alright, you mate, you're right. Cheers. Sorry. That's alright. Yeah, that must have been unnerving. I think you handled it really well. It's a bit of a mystery what a doppelganger is, really, as far as I'm concerned. It could have been, you know, when it comes to you, Tina, it could have been you from another dimension, maybe intervening in your future. Maybe subconsciously, you knew your future, and there are many versions of you existing in different timelines, and maybe you stepped in to intervene because you knew you'd be stubborn. I don't know, it's just a thought, who knows. So anyway, going back to what I was saying, another experience happened to me, again at work, alone. These things often happen when I'm alone, as they do to many people. Just made some brief notes on a piece of paper here. So this was at the time, like the last one I did, when I was playing around with meditation, and I was looking into the candle. That was the meditation I was doing. Every time I went to bed, I'd look into just a tea leaf candle, look at the wick, and focus on sensations in my body, etc. And then I had lucid dreams, and then other things. I just saw a bat go past me. I think that's the second one. Yeah, so this was in the same time period, and so I was alone at work. It was a night shift as usual, and I was sitting in the computer chair. CCTV was on, lights were on, and again I found myself going into that in-between phase of wakefulness and sleep. And I was completely conscious, and I was completely aware of the room around me, and I could see things, you know, the lights, you know, the floor, where the computer was, etc. So I definitely wasn't dreaming. That in-between phase of wakefulness and sleep, again with the meditation, I found I can enter it a lot easier, although it's not really through my own will, so to speak, but I can catch it, kind of thing. If that makes sense, easier. I'm more observant when I'm slipping into unconsciousness. And so that happened, and well, I found myself basically surrounded by noise, really loud rushing sound, and at the same time I had electrical sensations. Well, that's the way I describe them, running into my body, and mainly my hands. I mentioned briefly when I'd play around with the meditation, I would feel sensation in my hands. They came pretty quickly. Well, this was magnified probably by 100 times. I felt like somebody had literally plugged me into an electric socket, you know. My hands were actually, I had no control of this. They were actually bowing forward, kind of like this, and they were bending and bending and bending, and I had no control over it. They were spasming, kind of thing, both of them. And at the same time, the sound was so loud, and the way I can kind of describe it is if you had like a really powerful speaker, you know, You know, ones for like old-fashioned ones for kind of discos and stuff like that, and you had some headphones on and you plugged it in somehow to the speaker, and then you, I don't know, you get that bassy kind of sound that kind of blows your eardrums out when you're plugged into something that loud, an electrical system that loud. That's how loud it sounded, but it wasn't hurting my eardrums at all. You know, it wasn't physically hurting me. It's the same with the electrical sensations. It was very intense and powerful, but it wasn't really doing me any physical damage, if that makes sense. And at the same time, I heard, I saw lights kind of coming forward, glowing lights. Now I can't be sure if these were not originally in the room, they were some other, I don't know, manifestation, or they were the lights in the room and they were somehow appearing to be nearer. And I have a little theory on that. I'll tell you a bit later. But while this was happening, I felt myself being propelled forward. It was almost like I was going to shoot really, really fast out of my body. But it felt like I was travelling forward at the same time. It felt like I was travelling forward at tremendous speed. It's almost like I felt, pressure, G-force. In films where the like Star Trek, when they want to go warp speed, when they fasten the speed of light or something like that, and they disappears, and you see like a white lines, and then you see like that tunnel vision kind of effect. Or was it Space Odyssey 2001, where he's travelling really, really fast, and it's almost like he's gone down some kind of wormhole or something like that. It kind of like reminded me of that. It felt like that. The sensation was so intense, and I was kind of sitting with it. I was trying to see how long I could withstand it and stay in that zone, because often as soon as you get a little, you overthink it, it can you can come out of that state. But at the same time, if you're afraid, the fear can almost grip you and pull you even deeper. So but it was very, very interesting, and it doesn't stop there. So I was observing these electrical sensations in my body, along with the sounds and the noise. Oh, before I go further, another thing I noticed was, apart from this like rushing sound, it sounded like one of the predominant sounds sounded like a motor car, like you going really, really loud, and it was just accelerating and growing louder and louder. That was one of the most dominating sounds I heard. But second to that, underneath, was the sound of it sounded like somebody scratching a record, like like a kind of an old-fashioned 1980s DJ where they do that when they skip the record. That was that sound was present, as well as the other one, along with the lights. And then what happened was, well, I was observing these sensations through my body and through my hands, and I thought, can I control this? Can I actually intensify it or direct it? And so what I did, I looked down and I saw my hands there, and I focused the energy into my hands to see if I could almost shoot it out of my hands, out of my fingers. And what happened was, my hands extended about 4 or 5 inches. They grew 4 or 5 inches in front of me, and then they kind of twisted. They looked like sticks of pepperami. And they made a really strange sound when it happened, right in front of me, and I knew I willed that, and then the sensation increased right at the tips of my fingers. They looked kind of like a dirty yellow colour, and they, I think it happened 3 times. The more when I willed it, you know, when I focused, they grew, extended and went back, grew, extended and went back, and I thought, wow. All the while this was growing in intensity. The sound was getting louder, the sensation in my body was getting more intense, and it just got too much. I got a little scared, and then boom, I snapped out of it, and it was over as quickly as it started. And it's bizarre because you're like, where was I then? I was somewhere else. I was in another dimension for sure. This is and you know, obviously the thing that really grips you is the physical sensations. This is a very physical sensation. I was hearing things, feeling things, seeing things. All right, seeing things is one thing, but when you're hearing things and you're feeling things right through your body, you know that this is really real. There's things that I can connect that with from childhood when I had my other experiences. Again, I was seeing things, but again, I do recall it being physical too. So that was one of the most intense experiences I had as an adult, to be honest with you, and it left me to think what it was. Just looking at my notes here. Yeah, I thought of this, and I thought it could be something to do with being close to out of body, having an out of body experience. That was the most logical thing. And recently I'd was looking at a chap's videos who's apparently he's very experienced in astral projection, out of body and all those things, from you know, lucid dreaming, knowing the difference between lucid dreaming and real out of body, etc. And he said that beginners, what happens is, I could be wrong, but he says it's like it's like conflicting energies. Well, this is the way I can try and make sense of it anyway. I think he was saying this, but this is what makes sense to me. It's like you have your, let's call it your energy body, or energy bodies, your non-physical bodies, and then you have your physical body here. It's like they are, they start resonating at different frequencies. Maybe your energy body, your astral body, that's a kind of like a word I'll use, but you know, I don't fully understand it. But let's say your energy body, the frequency is changing, because usually let's say they're both in harmony. This is just a theory, and then something happens where the frequency changes, and now because your energy body is getting ready to leave your physical, well, not necessarily leave it, but just expand its awareness outside of it, let's say. And there's a confliction of energies, and it could be also through your own will. You're either afraid to do it, you're uncertain, and so this is also it could be the reason why there's these conflicting energies here, because that's what it feels like. It feels like if I just relax a little, and I just let go, I'll be shooting somewhere else, but something's holding me back. It's uncertainty. Maybe that's a good thing, but that's what I felt like. It was almost like I was fighting to get outside of my own physical body, my energy body was, and so this was what I was hearing. These sounds and the feeling went hand in hand, and I think I was real close to having an out of body, and I think I partly was because the light's getting closer, and it's almost like they were moving forward and coming back, moving forward and coming back. I think that may have been me, my consciousness, my awareness coming out of my body and coming closer to the lights on the walls and then moving back again. That was what I believe was happening when I was a kid as well. Yeah, so OB, out of body experiences, I think that is very likely. Another thing, I think this happened on the same night. It's getting dark now, so I'm sorry if you can't see much. Just move the camera here so you can see some of the lights in the distance while I talk. Yeah, another thing that happened on the same night, I'm quite certain of it. So I snapped out of that, hours went by, and then I found myself in that same phase again, you know, between wakefulness and sleep. And this time, I observed my hands again, but let's call it my energy body hands, were moving independently of my physical hands, and that was weird. I'd never seen that before. They were yellow. They were kind of like a yellow colour, and they were moving independently. Now, what happened previously when I described my fingertips growing several inches and extending like sticks of pepperami, that could have been the same thing. I'm sure I saw my energy body, my astral body, shoot out of my astral fingers, if you like, or energy fingers, shoot out of my physical ones. But there was a physical sensation. The nerves, it's your nervous system. You're totally feeling this with your nervous system, completely, but it's not hurting you, so to speak. And something I remembered, I just want to add here as well, regarding the electrical connection to all of this, is this is years and years back in my mid to late 20s. I was with my ex-girlfriend, and we went to I think it was the London Dungeons for a day out. It was the summertime, and we in between we went to in the building there was a coffee bar, and we went there to get some coffee and something to eat, and they had arcade machines there, and there was a arcade machine that was basically you electrocute yourself. It was I think it was called the chair, and you stand up, it had like two metal like poles coming out of it, and you hold on to them, and it has several levels, and it will level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, or something like that. And yeah, so you have a voice saying, "I sentence you to death through electrocution," and all of that. And then it goes on the levels, and my girlfriend was egging me on, saying, "Do the hardest level, I reckon you can do it." And I did. And again, your hands are like, as the electricity's going through them, your hands are bowing and they're gripping, and you have no control out of it, because the electricity is taken over your nervous system by the looks of it, and the hands are taken over themselves. It's like, the dead frog principle. You apply electricity to a dead frog and it comes to life. It's the nervous system. I think Thomas spoke about that a lot, which I found fascinating, with the dead bodies moving through the will of the people, the consciousness of the people mourning them. It can activate the nervous system that's still there, and I think that's something about this as well, electricity and the nervous system. What else can I add? Yeah, there's something else here as well. The way that my hands looked, they looked similar to some of the entities I've seen, kind of in colour and in texture and everything. It's almost as if they are, probably are, if they're real. If they're not in my mind, there could be disincarnated entities that don't have a physical body, they have energy bodies. So if that's the case, then it's highly likely that we have the same, that we have these types of bodies as well, and we could have, before we became human, before we incarnated and became human in human bodies, we could have had these types of bodies, and we may still well do. They may look very different to a human form, you know. That's something that I thought of as well. Just look at my notes here. Yeah, because they look like a cartoon in a way. They look like cartoons, and it made me think of, and I can't make logical sense of this right now. This is kind of, only thought of this recently. Television cartoons, why, yeah, and the electrical properties in televisions, and something about plasma. You know, plasma TV. We have plasma in our body. I think there's an electrical connection there as well. Yeah, that. I say I'm not going to go into detail about that. I need to research that a bit more. But I just thought I'd add that. And finally, something to do with the jinn, because apparently these are entities, disincarnate entities that don't really have a specific physical form. They're energetic, and they can shapeshift. They can take what form they like. But they were described as smokeless fire in a old Islamic text, or it could have been in the actual Quran Bible. But I remember somebody said one of the ways they were described as smokeless fire. Again, it's that kind of I think Thomas described them as some kind of, possibly they could have been some kind of plasma being, and I think electricity plays into that as well. So maybe this is a way of describing disincarnate entities, and again, we could well be these entities too. I mean, before we incarnated here into these human experiences, we well could have been. I know this sounds a little, an unpopular theory, let's say, but we could have been jinn, we could have been fairy, before we had this human experience. And it's this human experience that gave us more of a complex array of emotions, to feel deeper, to feel compassion, and it changed things immediately. We were no longer, on a certain evolutionary path that we were. This is just a theory, but it's very possible. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's all I can really add about that. It's getting pretty dark now. Yeah, that's all I can add, I think. I hope you enjoyed that. Anyone, just feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to share any similar experiences you've had. And look forward to hearing from you, everybody. And yeah, I look forward to making my next video as well. Okay, that's enough for now, and I'll see you soon. Cheers guys, bye.